Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the Dutch Grand Prix. Got a lot to talk about, so pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show. You wouldn't fucking read about it. Last weekend we witnessed two F1 returning to Zandvoort for the third time in this modern era. It's a great circuit. It's a glorified go-kart circuit with the banked corners, tight twists and uneven surfaces almost where they're going off camber. It's a great challenge for the drivers, and the modern cars are, you could say, almost too big for it. The action on track, of course, the breaking news was Dan Ricciardo with his wrist. He saw Piastri had binned it at turn 3 and went out in sympathy because he wasn't sure where he was going to go because of the whole design of that circuit. You commit to the corner and you're stuffed. So they thought Rick was going to come back, but of course Danny went to the medical centre and was advised that he had broken his wrist. So Liam Lawson, as the reserve driver for the Red Bull crew, was parachuted into the seat. And it was a debut of fire for him because it was a wet circuit, especially in practice for FP3 and quali. I think he did an outstanding job with the number 40 sticker on the car, showing what he can potentially do, because he's raced in any number of series and he's always shown himself to be a great racer. So we had to wait for the race to see how he went. Now, the great highlight for me in quali was, of course, the Williams, both of them getting into Q3, with Logan Sargent getting to P10, and I think that's where the Williams team should have probably left him, because he pushed his luck too much and, of course, binned it into the wall. Sorry, Pesto, you've got to go. Sorry, folks, the cat. So Sargent, I think the team should have made a better decision and just left him in the garage. That way they wouldn't have had another damage bill, because they're on a limited budget, and it just would have been easier for them to leave him at P10 and say, mate, you've done well, you're into Q3. Of course, Albon, smashed it, and he's really delivering for Williams again. Now, the race, it was a bit of an interesting race because it started on dry tyres, and then, of course, it started pissing down rain, and then it dried out again, and then it became wet again. Now, the problem was the Ferrari team weren't ready for the cars to come in, and they, of course, stuffed up their pits because they had no tyres. They had the car up on the jacks with nothing to put on it, no wet boots at least. So that was an embarrassment for Ferrari. They just keep making such stupid errors time and time again. It's just something's got to change there. And I'd hope with Freddie Vasseur turning up that they were going to run a tighter ship, but obviously not. So, again, Sargent went out binned the car into the wall. I don't know what you put it down to, lack of experience in the wet. I don't know. It was just sad to see him bin the car again, because he was showing potential to do well. And, of course, I've got to say, Liam Lawson was my driver of the weekend. It was obviously put into the seat for the wrong reasons that Danny Rick went out injured, but Lawson delivered, brought the car home. That was his big challenge, and probably that was the only thing he was told by Franz Tost: just bring the car home, don't bin it, don't break it. He did it in P13. Obviously, there was some attrition behind him. He did manage to overtake one of the Ferraris at some stage and even got a 5-second penalty, so he went out and really delivered for AlphaTauri, so well done to Liam Lawson. And he'll be back in the seat for Italy, and the thoughts are Ricciardo's going to be back for Singapore. So we'll see how that pans out. Now, the interesting point I want to say as I close up this notebook is, of course, Lewis Hamilton. I don't believe as yet he's signed a contract, and I'm starting to wonder whether the current performance of the Merc, whether he's going to sign again or not. That's going to be the big question that's going to be asked. He may sign again before the end of the season, but as of yet, there was a lot of discussion in previous races. Yep, Lewis is going to sign this weekend. He's going to sign this weekend. There's still no signature on that contract. So time will tell what Lewis is going to do. So that's it for this edition of DURKO's Notebook for the Dutch Grand Prix. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back next week with another notebook from the Italian Grand Prix. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.